This is Austin Blanchfill. He is a life coach. He also helps many chiros, get their not only their lives together, but get their business in order, and so that they could, impact more people's lives. So once again, welcome, Austin Blanchfill.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you having me on here. Super excited. I'm really blessed and honored. And like you said, I honor you and everything that you're doing, and you reaching out to me. I know we connected because I feel like our energy, we kind of resonate in the same level, and we just are very high energetic beings. And I really feel like, God brought us together for a reason. I always think God has a reason for our lives and what we do and how we impact people. So I'm really blessed to be on here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. It was, I just kind of, when I met you through the mastermind and I saw your energy, I'm like, oh man, I got to connect with this guy. And here we are, manifestation is real. So
here we are. Yeah. So great.
Thanks for hopping on. Tell me a little bit about your journey and how you got into chiro and then branching out to being a life coach.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'd love to. So really, ultimately, I grew up within chiropractic. So my father, he's a chiropractor. And so I was really blessed to be able to be under his wing because he's an amazing chiropractor, absolutely amazing. He's the kind of person where just in general, he truly just cares for people in general, So he, growing up, I got to witness a lot of miracles within the chiropractic profession because of him, and just seeing, like patients that were having constipation issues that would go away, asthma issues that would go away, allergy issues go away, like all of these amazing, incredible stuff that, people just think, oh, I have back pain, fix my back pain, but there's so much more to it. And so from a very young age, I was exposed to that. And so I was really blessed in that aspect. And like I said, have him under my wing. And so once I became of age, I decided to join him in his calling. And ultimately, so I kind of have a little two separate journeys here. So I'll talk about chiropractic first. With chiropractic, I joined him, once I was 19, and really just stepped into that position where I really helped clarify his vision and what he was wanting to accomplish for our community. And at the time, he was just serving in one small town. Like, I grew up in a very small town, 1,000 people, very, very small. And he was serving so many people out of this little office in Yoncalla. And he was serving people that would literally come to him from 2 hours away every single week. So that just kind of shows you his character and how he shows up as a chiropractor. Absolutely incredible. So we went from the small office, we were about seeing 180 patient visits a week. And then I helped him clarify his vision, provide the right systems, right procedure, right staff, right support. And we went from one office to two offices, just about doubling, seeing over 300 patients a week. And then also seeing quadruple the amount of new patients. So going from 4 new patients a week to 16 new patients a week. And then from that, we went from 300,000 in revenue for yearly revenue to on track to 800,000 this year. So it's, really incredible. So that's part of my chiropractic journey and how I grew up within the profession.
Nice. And then, wow. Okay. Yeah. That's already starting out with legacy, coming from your dad and then trickling it down to you, and you transforming that business to something else. Like that's big. Did that passion stem from your father and you seeing how he was able to impact people and help people? Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Like I said, kind of just growing up and living a chiropractic lifestyle, and then just also witnessing all of the miracles, like I said, within the office, and just realizing that every single one of us, like, we're all a walking miracle. Like, we have within us miracles that happen 24/7. And for some reason, when it comes to, I always like to talk about the 3 T's of stress. You have thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And with those 3 T's of stress, those really inhibit that natural miracle within. Kind of like that life flow that flows from above down, inside out, that expresses throughout your whole body. And with those 3 T's, that interferes with that. And with ultimately what I learned at a young age is chiropractic unlocks that. So when chiropractors are adjusting the spine, what they're ultimately doing is removing that interference. A lot of people think of chiropractors as just back doctors, but really they're doctors of the nervous system, because the nervous system controls everything. And so they relieve that stress on the nervous system just to allow the miracles to happen within, to allow that life force to be able to flow the way that God designed us to. And so from a very young age, I learned that, and I was just like, oh my gosh, if everyone knew what I knew, they would be a chiropractor, they would be a chiropractic assistant, they would be involved in chiropractic somehow, some way. Like that's how I was growing up. And so that's what initially, brought me into the profession for sure.
I like how you touched base on being able to release or re-engineer the trauma, the re-engineer the thoughts, and what was the other T?
Yeah, thoughts, traumas, and toxins.
And toxins, and that definitely aligns with the anatomy. Because I've been a massage therapist for about 6 years now, and I've partnered with chiropractors as well. And for you to touch on that, that's really big, because those are blockages from us being able to be our best us and being able to deliver the best us to other people. So I appreciate you touching base on that. What are some things people can do at home to release those toxins, or to overcome those trauma issues that you feel like that they could do, so that they could be able to deliver and receive those miracles from the Most High?
Great. Yeah, great question. So I like to talk about this little formula that I developed. It's called 3-4-5 formula.
Get your pens together. I got my notes.
Here we go. Diving right in. Time to take some notes. So 3-4-5. Ultimately what it is, and at the end too, I have a free ebook that people can download as well that talks about this, which is really great. So ultimately the 3 in the 3-4-5 formula, 3 is the 3 T's. So really understanding how your body receives stress. So there's those 3 T's. So thoughts, traumas, and toxins. Obviously with thoughts, like any sort of mental, emotional negativity within, according to thoughts, and those are all based upon your experiences, based upon the experiences growing up. They say from 0 to 7 is your imprint stage, where your beliefs are set. And so a lot of the time our negative thoughts stem from those young years. And so being able to really look at those, that part of stress, so thoughts, and then traumas, obviously like physical traumas are going to cause stress on your body. The mental, emotional traumas, going through, large, whether it's death in the family, divorce, those kind of traumas as well. And then the last one, toxins. So what you're putting into your body obviously affects you. And not just nutritionally, but what you're putting on your body chemically, like different soaps, things of that nature. Like it's incredible and kind of scary how we're exposed, how many chemicals we're exposed to every single day. There's, like with women and the makeup products that they use, every 1 out of 17 women are exposed to some sort of carcinogenic every single day, 1 out of 17. And so, and that's just because of all the chemicals that we're exposed to. So toxins can come in many forms. And what's very interesting is the nervous system perceives all of those 3 T's of stress. They perceive it as stress. Like, it doesn't matter which one you experience, it reacts the same way. And so what happens is when your body experiences, I'm going really in depth on the stress part because it's really important.
No, yeah, please do, because I mean, even now in these days, like people are stressing,
Yeah.
in so many different realms. And so you definitely are right on point. And even through, social media platforms, people are
Yeah.
stressing and
Yeah.
seeing other people and trying to like compare themselves and think that they're not where they're supposed to be. So continue like that. This is completely on subject.
Okay, great. So ultimately, what happens is we were made to adapt to short-term stress. Like we're adaptable beings, right? Like we were made to have that adaptation, and that's just part of that wisdom within, the miracles within. Okay, that natural innate intelligence within our bodies. Like we're made to be able to adapt, but only to short-term stress. The more that we're experienced to long-term stress, that's when issues start to arise. That's when things start to break down. There's this analogy called the gap that I like to talk about, and it's a acronym. So GAP, it stands for genetic adaptive potential. And if you think about it, like your adaptive potential is like a gap. So say you have a range like this, and you experience short-term stress in this range. You have this stress and your body's able to adapt. It's perfectly fine because it's within the gap, right? But as soon as you experience a lot of stress all of a sudden and it goes past the gap, it's like, whoa, kind of a little bit of a warning sign, but you come back into the normal range and all is okay because it's just short-term stress, right? But the more you get outside of the gap and you're experiencing that long-term stress, your gap gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And so things that you used to be able to adapt to really easily stress-wise are much more hard because you're experiencing that long-term stress. And so what happens, the shorter your gap, the genetic adaptive potential, your body starts to give you warning signs. It starts to give you signals. So that's where symptoms come into play. So many people think of symptoms as a bad thing, as a negative thing, but it's actually a natural response from your body. It's like saying, hey, it's this warning light saying, hey, help me out. You're experiencing this stress. You need to help me out. And so many of us, we've been trained to cover up those symptoms, right? With some sort of drug, medication. Sometimes that, depending on the situation and crisis care, that could be good, but that's just short-term relief, right? That's not getting to the root cause. And so with that, just looking at stress, everyone has a different adaptive response. So like for some people, when they experience long-term stress, they are very inflamed and start to put on weight. Some maybe lose weight. So for me in my journey, it was ulcerative colitis. And I'll talk about that in a little bit as far as life coach wise with ulcerative colitis, but everyone's adaptability is affected over long-term stress. And so we weren't made to have that long-term stress. So ultimately, what you need to be able to do is look at those 3 T's in your life, okay, to be able to identify them first, recognize. So this is part of the 4 in the formula. So you have the 3, which is the 3 T's, and then the 4 are going to be the 4 R's, okay? You need to be able to recognize where that stress is coming from, right? First step is awareness, okay? So recognize, and then you need to be able to remove, okay? Look at that stress and see what's unnecessary. Naturally, there's going to be daily stress in our lives, and we need to be able to look at it in a different aspect, but you need to see that excess stress that's not necessary and then remove it. So first, you need to be able to recognize, remove, and then next is reform. All right. So you need to be able to replace that stress or reform it into a new type of stress. All right. So kind of what I mean by that, if you look at thoughts, all right. So you have negative thoughts and you recognize a negative thought, you remove it, then you want to be able to reform it or replace it with a positive thought, right? very, very simple, very awesome process, simple and awesome process.
Hey man, I'm loving it because these are real life formulas. And if anybody's watching, please be taking notes, because just on my journey and listening to my mentors and being in tune with self, like these things that he's speaking about are very important. And these are processes that we could utilize to transform the mental, physical, and spiritual wing. So I'm just gonna let him keep going.
Yeah.
I just have to remind you guys, take notes, because this is very powerful, and I see this every single day for people that are literally elevating in life.
Yes, great, awesome. Thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that and that input. Yeah, so yeah, it's very important. Very important. If, like you're saying, elevating your life, these are going to be your self-help tips for growth and development to be able to push yourself to that next level. And I love how you just mentioned, as far as the looking at the spiritual and the mental, emotional, like the being, this is really just ultimately what this is doing, especially when it comes to thoughts, is addressing that inner world. I get so fired up and I get so passionate about inner world and outer world. I'll talk about that too. But stay on track, Austin. Woo! Okay. So 3 T's, the 4 R's. So the first one is, like I said, recognize. Then the next one is remove. And then the third one is reform or replace. All right. And then last one, which a lot of people forget, the 4th one is repeat. You need to be able to do this process over and over again. It's a skill, something that can be developed. It's not just if you have this negative thought that comes in your head like, I'm not good enough. You can't just expect that you can remove it and replace it with a new thought and you're done. Like that's it. It takes a process, especially if it's been years within you, based upon your experiences, like a negative thought. If you've experiencing that kind of stress in your life, it was interesting how the last person that was speaking talked about the thermostat, and the same thing with stress in your life. If you've naturally been experiencing a certain amount of stress and you start taking care of that stress through this process, naturally, it's very weird to think, but because of your thermostat and where it's been for such a long time, it's going to want to suck you back into that normal state, that comfortable state. It's kind of weird to think how you could be comfortable with stress, but it's because you've been in that state for such a long period of time. A lot of times it can take that process, doing it over and over, repeating it. So recognize, remove, reform or replace, and then repeat. Okay, keep repeating that process.
Would you agree that when you're doing something for so long, it gets embedded into your DNA? So with that repeating process, you're kind of reversing that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And really, especially when it comes to thoughts, because thoughts are going to be the most important, powerful component to be able to address first and foremost, because that really addresses your inner world. Like your thoughts, like you're saying, it gets embedded within you. It kind of it really forms your blueprint. And a lot of us, what we try and do is start focusing on our outer world, which is like the physical realm, and start doing and making change, because it's really easy to see the results in our outer world, to see that change, that transformation externally. But there's so much more power within the unseen, right? Within internally, what we can't see.
Right.
And so the more that we can focus on our inner world, our outer world is going to be expressed in a great way. So yeah,
that's magic. No, I love it. Because it has everything to do with reverse engineering and being able to align your spiritual so that you can transform your mental, and being able to redirect that physical into whatever it is that you want to do. So, man,
yes.
Hey, thanks for touching in on that. These are tangible tools. The 3 T's: trauma, thoughts, toxins. The 4 R's: recognize, remove, reform or replace, and then repeat the process again.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
definitely. Yeah. And just to kind of touch a little bit more on that,
Mm-hmm.
the inner world, like you're saying, like your inner world, what we need to focus on, which is the inner world, is the mental, emotional health and the spiritual health. And that's a part of the five formula, the five components of health. So a part of my journey, so I'll talk a little bit about my life coach journey, because this really relates in this way. So when I was 19, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And I just remember being in the hospital thinking like, man, how did I get here? Like, how the heck did I get here? It felt like I was laying on my deathbed. Like it was the lowest lows and scariest moment of my life. I was in the hospital for 7 days. I was going to the bathroom every 15 minutes and just blood, like uncontrollably bleeding. And it was a scary time. And I went from 170 pounds down to 130. And that just kept repeating in my head, just like, why is this happening to me? Like, how the heck did I get here? And that started my journey to figuring out this 3-4-5 formula. Ultimately, through this journey is how I figured this out. And so I just remember things would start to get better because I really started focusing externally, like what I could put in my body, right? Like nutritionally wise, what kind of foods I should eat, diet programs, supplements that I could take to be able to overcome this condition. And I remember I was experiencing temporary results, but I'd still be going through flare-ups, still crashing. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And I noticed I was focusing outside in. I was focusing on an outside in principle and not from an inside out. And so many of us do this, and it's exactly why we experience temporary results in our life when it comes to health, wealth, faith, relationships, any categories, because we focus on the outside in. And so I initially started to do that, and it got to a point to where I was just experiencing those temporary results, and I crashed again, and I went in the hospital down to 125 pounds, and I'm 6'2", so like 125 pounds, like that was not good. Somebody compared it to like Christian Bale, and I can't remember what movie it is, but
No, I completely relate, because I'm 6'2", and I've been fluctuating. Like, I've been from 150 to 180 to 190, and being 150, 160, like, you look like a pole. You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I can imagine 130, and then I can even imagine how you can feel being 6'2", 130, and then in the hospital for 7 days. So like, I can like resonate with that, even though I haven't been there. But the way you're explaining and the passion and pain that you're delivering, like, I can really feel that. So
yeah. Well, that's and this ultimately, like this, and I'll kind of come back to this, but like you're saying, as far as the passion and the pain, kind of like passion from the pain. I always like to say this, especially to my clients, is that the path of your past leads to your passion, your purpose, and your plan. And so ultimately, that's how I kept with my journey the whole time, is I just knew that this was internally. I've always looked at the glass half full, right? I've always been that kind of positive person, and having that hope, having that faith. And that's what kept me throughout this whole journey, just moving forward to like make tomorrow a better day. Like, I just kept focusing on that. And so, at first focusing on the outside in principle in that aspect. And then I crashed again, went to 125 pounds. I was in the hospital this time for almost 2 weeks. And I remember during that time, my naturopath that was helping me, take certain supplements, that outside in, he gave up on me. He was like, Austin, he saw my results from colonoscopy in the hospital. And he's like, I've never seen a colon like that. He's like, you need to get rid of it. And I was like, no. I was like, no, screw you. I'm not getting rid of my colon. I know I can do this. I can overcome it and get better. And so he had given up, like, even when and that's the thing too. It's like, no matter what circumstance you face in your life, people give up on you. Like, but when it comes to your dream and your passion, what you you've truly been called to do and are meant to show up, like keep pressing forward and keep that in the front of your mind. And that's exactly what I did. I was like, no, like this, I'm going to overcome this. Like I'm stubborn in a good way like that. Right. And so I started to figure out through the process as well, the 5 components of health, because I really started to look at health and the true definition of health within chiropractic. And that helped me discover all 5 components. And I noticed I was focusing a lot on the physical component of health. So externally, like exercising, lifting weights, and that was helping me. Don't get me wrong, like that was helping me, but it was just providing those temporary results before I'd crash and go through a flare-up again. Same thing with the chemical component of health. I was doing everything nutritionally, supplement-wise, to be able to overcome it, but temporary results because it's part of the outer world, right? The 2 areas that I noticed I wasn't focusing on that everyone needs to focus on first and foremost is spiritual health and mental emotional health. Okay, those 2 areas, because that's what creates your inner world. Your inner world, the more that you can focus on those 2 components, your outer world is going to be expressed. Your inner world is so much greater than your outer world. And so for a lot of us, think about it like just with weight loss in general, right? So if somebody is wanting to lose weight and they're going through an exercise program and they start experiencing results, and they start noticing they're kind of just about to break that cycle, but they still have the negative thoughts of, well, I'm fat. They still view themselves as I'm fat or out of shape or not healthy. They still have all of these negative thoughts and maybe even emotional experiences that they haven't addressed. They're going to get sucked right back into that state. And so that's why a lot of people, they experience temporary results, and somehow, some way they get sucked right back into that cycle, that thermostat, right? That thermostat. I know she was talking a lot about books.
Yeah, Diane Joyner.
Diane, yeah. So she talking about thermostat. Like I've been reading Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, which is a really great book. Not just about, having a millionaire-like mind, but really just having a mind for success,
right?
Health, relationships, love. And it really talks about this inner world and focusing on the inner world. And he compares it to, thermostat, like thermostat in a house. If you go to make a change, like open up all the windows, all the doors in your house because you want it to get more cold because it's cooler outside. Gets cold temporarily, and then that thermostat kicks on, comes right back to the comfortable state. Same component when we're trying to make change in our life, when we're trying to experience different results, a different reality. If we focus on the external world, we start taking action and focusing outwardly.
Right.
We're going to experience temporary results, but because we haven't changed who we are, the way that we are meant to show up, our thoughts, our spiritual health, our mental, emotional health, we're going to come right back to the comfortable state. And that goes like true for financial situations, like people trying to make more money. Think about like Trump, for instance. He, his financial thermostat, like his blueprint is billionaire. And he lost it all at one point in his life, but because his thermostat was billionaire, he gained it just like that. And the same for the opposite, for people that have been in debt or barely just get by in their life. When it comes to money, just barely get by every single month, they experience all of a sudden this opportunity to gain a lot more money, and they do, but somehow, some way, they barely get by still. So that's just part of that inner world, outer world. And that's what I was really experiencing and figured out during my journey. And so as soon as I started to focus on that and figure it out, I was married at the time, and I all of a sudden went through a divorce. And it was just, that was the lowest low of my life. because lost best friend. I had 2 daughters, losing a stepdaughter, my daughter half of the time, and I started focusing just strictly on that and what was going on, and lack of health, lack of wealth because of financial circumstances with going through a divorce, lack of relationships because of that. Like, I suffered. That was the lowest low of my life. But I still kept my faith the whole time, like still kept my faith. And when I noticed how I would do really well, because I was focusing on my inner world, I was thinking, like, what the heck am I missing? Like, I know how to do it. I know how to overcome it. I know what's going on. I have my purpose because of my path. I'm like, what am I missing? What the heck? And the last one was social health, which was getting a coach, like having somebody speak into me to help me make sure that I'm accountable, that they can see from that outside in perspective, so that I can overcome any obstacle or any limitation that I might not know I'm even aware of, but a coach can see it. And so once I did that, instant transformation, absolutely incredible.
Wow. You touched base on a lot of things, and the inner work is the most powerful, but just the fact that you talked about people, no matter what you go through, people are going to give up on you. Yeah. And with that being said, when there were people that gave up on you in your journey, then you noticed that these outside things were only temporary. They were, a lot of people get caught up with the instant gratification, and social media is obviously the one of the main sources of instant gratification when it comes to like mental. Like, we're looking at these timelines, we're looking at other people's posts, and we see that they got it like this, or think that they got it like this. They might even say they got it like this, but it's a temporary thing if it's not started from the inside. Like, people could wake up next morning and probably be blessed with $100,000 or $500,000 in 6 to 7 months. They be back broke again because of the mental engineering and not being in tune with self. So I like how you touched base on that. And once you got in tune with self, you were still going through issues, but you got somebody that believed in you, which was a mentor and a coach, and it kind of completed everything. So thanks for sharing that journey. Now that you are a life coach, what are some things that you would do differently going through that journey that you have kind of paved the way?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So first and foremost, like I mentioned, just always having that faith is so important, like that faith over fear, and keeping that hope that there's a better tomorrow. So that was one thing that I've always had. So if somebody is going through an issue, I always recommend like that. Obviously. And then the thing that I wish I would have known earlier was actually getting the right support, like having a coach, having a mentor that can speak into me. Because it was really interesting during I grew up playing sports all the time. And so I knew that, if you're an athlete, like you're looking at pro athletes, they always have a coach because they want to better their game. Mm-hmm. And some people think, well, why should you have a life coach? That just seems kind of weird. Well, it's like, do you want to be better at life? Where, it's the same kind of concept, right? Like, a life coach is going to look from that outside in perspective that naturally athletes within the game, like when somebody's in the game of life, they are in the thick of it. And sometimes they can't see outside what's going on, right? And so that's where the coach comes into play. They can see those limitations, that can see those obstacles that an athlete might not know is even there, right? And so same exact concept with a life coach. They're able to speak into areas of your life, whether that's health, wealth, love, or relationships, faith, that you want to be able to grow in. So ultimately, it's like, if you want to become a better version of yourself, have the right support system.
Yeah.
because you can have all the right systems in the world. You know how to do it. You know what to do. You like, I even had the why, right? Like I had this very strong purpose because of God, because of my daughter, because of I have a very large family, even because of chiropractic and serving the world through chiropractic. But I didn't have the right support. I didn't have a coach that. So you have to have the best of both, right? Have the right systems, have the right support in it. And if I would have known that sooner, even if you don't have the right systems in the first place, if you have the right support, they're going to help you get the right systems. So that's very, very important. So having a coach before you even know what to do or how to do, or even why you're doing a certain thing, getting a coach is going to help you even with the right systems. So
got you. And hey, thanks for touching base on that, because systems, from what I was taught, it stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. And we have the correct systems. You can implement the correct strategies. And then, of course, like you say, having the right mentor, the right coach that really coincides with what you want to do is going to help you propel, and it's going to help you eliminate, you bumping your head in the road. It's a great source of direction. So we have about roughly 10, 15 minutes. One thing that most people don't know about you, just kind of, if you feel comfortable, what's one thing that they don't know about you that you have implemented into your avenue of life coaching that helps you?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would say ultimately, let's see. That's a really good question, because I'm pretty open and honest and open book. So I'm trying to think if there's like one thing that
No, that's fine. We can go to a next question, and you can kind of think about that answer. That's fine.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's good. I just like to kind of pick the brain so that these are things that other people can implement and really kind of think about, because a lot of people, they not only that they don't have the blueprint, but they kind of struggle with self. So I kind of like to pick the brain of people that are already on the successful path and doing what they love to do, and just kind of trickle down and give them some of those answers. So you could think about that. That's all good. So just let me know, what are some resources and tools that made life just a little bit easier for you?
Yeah. So I would say I'm actually rereading it. Like I said, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. I read that when I was 19, when I started to go through the issues. And even though it was a book about money, it really is just how to be able to, like I said, just have success in any area. And that's because it does talk a lot about that inner world. And ultimately, like everyone, like it talks about this concept as well, how everyone wants to be rich, but if everyone wants to be rich, how come everyone isn't rich? Like wanting isn't good enough. And then there's some people that choose to be rich, and that's where it's like people, they let's see, a good way to put it is they're active externally, right? They're active and they experience temporary results, but come right back to the cycle. Like even the choice isn't good enough. And then there's the third and final one, which is a commitment. It's like there's people that commit to being rich. And so I would just suggest, this is kind of a concept that I learned early and just applied it to my health. Like I commit to being 100% healthy and functioning in all aspects of my health. And because of that, I have that desire, I have that passion, I have this major purpose to be able to show up each day in a better way, and looking at my health and that 3-4-5 formula, to be able to look at that and focus and put intention towards that every day. So I would say just whatever, area in your life that you're wanting to be able to like level up, become, better in, then make it a commitment, like instead of just wanting, instead of making it a choice, like make it a commitment, declare it and write it out. Like a lot of the times people just have it right in their minds, but as soon as we take it from our minds and bring it out externally, like talking about it, writing it out, like declaring it to the world, there's so much more power in that. And especially declaring it. Like if you're going to tell somebody that you're going to get something done, the chances of you getting it done are going to be a lot more high than you just keeping it in your mind because you have somebody that's expecting that. Or even if they aren't expecting it, you think they're expecting it. So you're going to show up and take care of it like within integrity. So I hope that kind of answers.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with you. And yeah, that's that definitely did answer my question. Just tell me, going into life coaching, what is one indicator for one to need life coaching or need a mentor?
Yeah, it's a good question. So ultimately, if in general, like you're wanting to better a certain aspect of your life, just look at coaches and I liked how you mentioned before, having the right coach. There's a lot of coaches out there, but you need to be able to have the right coach be able to speak into you. And so a lot of times, it takes an interview process from you, because there are a lot of people that can, speak to you the way that you want to be spoken to, but coaches are going to be the ones that push you, that challenge you. The right coaches are going to be the ones that really push you and challenge you and kind of really get you outside of that comfort zone, that comfort bubble that you're always in. And so ultimately, if you're wanting to grow in any area of your life, especially at a fast rate, like a fast track, that's where you definitely should need a coach. And if you recognize that in that cycle, like it just seems like the results you're experiencing are only temporary, and you just keep coming to that, thermostat, right back into that vicious cycle that you always seem to stay stuck in, then that's a good indication that you need somebody from the outside in to look at and really analyze like what's going on, what's holding you back, where are those limitations that are showing up that you're unaware of. Because usually they're buried within the unconscious mind, buried within kind of that blueprint, the inner being, that it's hard for us to really recognize and break through that because we're in the thick of it, right?
Yeah.
And so, so if anyone's experiencing that, like they're just stuck, and it seems like no matter what they try doing, it doesn't produce long-lasting results, long-term results, because a coach can speak into them from that outside in perspective, and then also help that, like with that accountability, right? If you tell your coach you're going to do something and you're meeting with them every single week, there's a much more high chance that you're going to get that done. And if you don't get that done, then the coach is going to speak into you and say, hey, what's getting in your way? What are the obstacles? Where's the limitations? What's your mindset around the issue? How do you feel? All of this stuff to be able to help push you and challenge you to make sure you stay on track.
Yeah.
So
I think that's so interesting that it's basic, but interesting, the fact that when a coach, like somebody else tells you to do something or shares with you that you should do something, and then like you don't feel like you're doing it to please them, but it's for you.
yeah.
You're like, oh, like Tuesday's coming. She told me that I had to get this done, so I have to get this done. But really, it's for you. Like, you're thinking about that accountability of someone else telling you got to get it done instead of it being for you. But at the same time, that whole mental aspect is like, oh, I got to get it done. My coach said I got to get it done. You know what I mean? So that whole mental aspect, to me, it's very interesting. But I agree that accountability is very powerful. And sometimes we do need an outside source to direct us and keep us on the path and to encourage us to do better. So thank you for that answer for sure. If you were in a time machine, is there anything that you would do differently to be to where you are today?
Yeah, definitely. Good question. So first and foremost, getting a coach. getting the, right support system to be able to speak into the way that you need it, not the way that you want it. That would be the number one thing for sure. Yeah, I would say that just that straight up.
No, for sure. Yeah, once again, thank you for your time. You've given so much great information, and even some strategies that I if you're watching this recording, rewind it and go back to 345 that Austin, the platform, the blueprint that he drawed out, because I think like I don't know how much he charges for that, but that's something that is very useful and it's very valuable. You can implement in life and you can implement in your business. And so that's definitely will transform your life or whatever situation. I'm just going to touch this question one more time. Yeah. What is something that people don't know about you that allowed you to be successful in life coaching and in the passion that you're currently proceeding in?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this one popped up because this recently came up that I noticed because I have a coach myself. Since I'm a coach, it's like practice what you preach, right? So I have a coach that speaks into me from that outside in perspective. And what was great was that she was able to see a limitation within me that, as I started to reflect on it, was showing up in so many areas of my life.
Oh, wow.
Usually when you do have a limitation, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So if you have a limitation, there's a very high chance that it doesn't just show up in that certain aspect of your life. It shows up in all areas of your life. And so with this, she noticed that I had this fear of rejection. And I started comparing or just reflecting on every area. So like when it came to my health, when it came to wealth, relationships, love, my faith, it was showing up in every single area.
Oh, wow.
So that's where I was like, okay, 3-4-5 formula. Here we go. Look at those thoughts. Like, why am I having this fear of rejection? What are some of the thoughts associated with that? So start writing those down. So it's like, even myself, I would say, right, like it's not a destination. Like your journey isn't a destination, it's a journey. Like it's a continuum. So as I'm even going along on my journey, on my path, I'm noticing limitations, I'm noticing obstacles, I'm noticing fears, and then my coach is noticing even more because there's from the outside in, right? And so because of that, like it's just this process, like that I know it's a journey, and I'm looking forward to overcoming those. So like same thing in health, like health is a journey. It's not a destination. Like you can always continue to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of one aspect that, even for myself that, not a lot of people know, is just looking at, I have a coach that looks at my outside in perspective. I noticed that, or she noticed that fear of rejection, and we're able to bust it out. And so I do, I repeat the process, because it's not like just a one and done. It's out of there. I still have those limitations that show up. I still have those negative thoughts that come into my mind, but it's just utilizing that 3-4-5 formula and other little different tools and trips or tricks and tips, especially in the 5 components of health.
Yeah.
Be able to focus on growing myself, so that I'm bigger than my problems.
Yeah.
So,
hey man, thanks for being so transparent and being able to implement this stuff. Like I also respect the fact that you implement your own process. Yeah. Like that's huge, and that shows that that's true passion. And here on the Legacy Healer Summit, we're talking about creating a legacy through passion and purpose. So you've hit all the key points. And once again, thank you for your time. I know for a fact one day we got to talk more about inner work, because that fires me up too. Yes. And it's like an ongoing process. So we'll definitely talk more about that on a later date. But thanks for taking the time out of your day. I know you got a busy schedule coming up, so blessings to you. I appreciate you, and we will definitely be touching base in the near future for sure.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. And I know I mentioned this at the very beginning, but I'll just pop it in the chat. Okay. Just the link that I actually have for that 3-4-5 formula.
Okay.
And then
yeah, also, for sure. Even for the audio, let people know where they could go, and then I'll copy and paste the link as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so you can go to austinblanchfill.com, and it's called the Ultimate Download Bundle. It's all about one lifestyle, which is my business, which is WON, living your greatest personal and professional life by design. And the download bundle, it includes my ebook that talks about the 3-4-5 formula. So it's like over 45 pages, but it's very digestible, really easy read. That also has a bunch of trackers within it, like, morning ritual, like things that can help you in the 3-4-5 process. And then I also include the lifestyle trackers that I use a lot, which is going to be the fulfillment tracker, which just really helps create balance and prioritize what matters most in your life. Same with the daily habit tracker that I have, and then a vision tracker. So I've got 4 different downloads absolutely free, with vision tracker, habit tracker, fulfillment tracker, and then my ebook. So, and then also when they do that, there's bonus training videos with all of those. So 4 different downloads, 4 training videos, all for free. So.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Austin. I appreciate that. I'm in the middle of copying and pasting your link right now. Hopefully it loads, but if we're going to get it together. At the same time, y'all tap in austinblanchfill.com, and the link did load. I'm hitting enter right now. Please go get that. This guy has literally given us so much valuable information. I'm completely, I'm grateful. And thanks again for your time. And we will definitely talk soon. Any other information that you would like to give any viewers or, people that will be watching this recording?
Yeah, just, I'm here to love and serve. And, if anyone has any questions, I'm really easy to reach, through Facebook, through Instagram, wherever you can find me. It's me personally. So I'm here to love and serve. Like, that's what, God has placed me on this earth to do. And I'm very passionate about, loving and serving in any way that I can, any capacity that I can. So really easy to reach. So if anyone has anything that they want to be able to talk about, they need somebody to be able to express some stuff to, I'm here in any way that I can. I just want to thank you, man, for, allowing me to be here with everyone. Like I said, I'm really blessed and super excited that I got this opportunity to be here and to be able to provide some value. And I just commend you, man, for everything that you're doing and showing up the way that you're showing up to be able to just truly help make an impact in this world, So just
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks again, man, for sure. You've been a blessing. And like I say, thank you, and thank you. We'll definitely talk soon, and have a great week. And man, more blessings to you, more prosperity to you. I speak more life into your life, just because that's what fills me, to see other people grow around me. And I know people grow around me, that, I will grow as well. So more abundance and prosperity to you as well.
Thank you. Thank you as well, man. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Man. Bye.